do that. I meant to mute.
Okay. So what have you all thought about this so far? Like, do you like the book?
Yes, I loved it.
I like it too. I
I love her.
Yes. Yes. I liked
Mhm.
her story that she shared at on Super Saturday. So I'm excited to hear from her again. So I thought this was cool to read this and then get to like actually see her at convention. I think that will be neat. But I was telling Jody the other night, I feel like the beginning of the book is like a lot of like information, like kind of like overload, like they were longer, but like the end of the book, like was probably my favorite. So like I'm rereading it with you guys. And I've never been one to really reread books, but now I see why people do it because I feel like I have like a totally different perspective, like reading it again. So
It's kind of like when you watch a movie for the second time too.
yeah,
You always pick
yeah.
up something that you didn't get the first time.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if it's like different eyes or just like doing it with you guys or what, but I love this. But like habit one, believe you can do it. I mean, like that's just as simple as it is. It's just optimism and growth mindset and just being able to like be self-aware is what I wrote with this chapter, is just like being able to identify like what you're feeling and what you're going through. And you know, um the story of the lady on that first page or on the first page of that chapter of 20 on page 21, where she's like, I've tried this before and I failed. What's the point of trying it again? This is a waste of time. I just need to accept the fact that I'm a big woman. You know, my mother's big. And it's just like, how many stories do we tell ourselves about different life situations like that? You know, like I grew up this way, so like this is just the way I am. My mom was that way, or you know, like whatever. How many stories do we tell ourselves that's like that? And I like that really stood out to me because it's like, how many times do we do that to ourselves? Like, and we make it like we don't even give ourselves a chance. We're just already shutting the train down because we're like, nope, that's how I was raised this way, or you know, like whatever. I can't eat better or I can't work out or whatever. So I really liked that part and that exercise, like identifying if it's like if you're taking a failure like personal or not, I thought was really good. But I just wrote like it's all about thoughts and your viewpoints. Like, are you being hopeful and are you empowered to try again when you fail? Like, I I don't see like failure as like it's my worth. You know, like I don't feel like that's like, oh, okay, like I failed at this, so like now I'm not worthy of anything else, or like that I failed at something, so I'm not a good leader, or I failed at my diet, so I can't do it again or whatever. But um I guess on page 24, I guess is what I'm talking about, is when she talks about internalizing your um failures. Like, are you taking it personal? Are you internalizing it? Because your failures are not your flaws. And I really liked that. I wrote that down, Zendo. Like, your failures are not your flaws. So it's like when we have a failure, like we make it, I guess, so personal and make it make it about us. And it's really not. So I liked that part on page 24. She says internalizing failure is a death sentence for your dreams. So I guess really just understanding that it's not your worth. And I liked where she was talking about the pessimist and the optimistic person and the differences, how pessimists, they give up easily, they become depressed, they don't persevere. And then your optimistic person is more, you know, like it's hopeful. There is room to grow, you have that growth mindset. And where on page 25, I put where it says that external pessimist explains her failures as personal flaws, that it's like permanent, like things last forever, even though we know like life is a season and it comes and goes and changes. And Pervasive, that means the personal flaw that caused the failure, sabotages your success. And they call it explanatory or your thinking style. So I took that as like, you're always explaining yourself. Like you have to explain why this happened, or you you go into detail and like give excuses. So I think that was like pinpointed to me too. I did highlight successful women believe in themselves. They have an authentic confidence that, helps them face challenges and opportunities. Let's see. And then like the lessons that she talks about on page 29, how that lady that Meredith, who went out and did the company, failing forward, taking risk, decisive action, believed in herself. She knew herself and was able to decipher between like her thoughts and other people's thoughts. She volunteered to help and she stuck it out even though it was not the best option. So, sometimes like sticking it out is not good for any of us. Like we just have to cut ties, whether that's with a relationship, a job, whatever. But she was self-aware. And I think that's super important for us as like moms and wives and like business owners to be self-aware. Like when you're looking at emotions and situations, like being self-aware of how you're handling different, I guess, situations in life. But let's see. I highlighted page 29. I don't know if you guys have anything to say. Please feel free to talk or say whatever you feel. Page 29, she says, what are you telling yourself about failures? She said, is it always I mess up or I was exhausted today? Nobody will spend money on my products in a bad economy. I've got to find people who are still spending money. She said, if your mind is an electronic billboard for the world to see, what thoughts are they going to read? So I liked that a lot because it's like, what thoughts are you like thinking? Are you thinking that nobody's affording our products right now? Nobody is buying in a bad economy? Are you thinking I'm always tired? I don't have time to do this. Like, like making, I guess, excuses in your head or giving yourself reasons why you're not growing or moving forward. And I shared a podcast with Andrea today that I listened to. I like the life coach school. That's like who does all the life coach training certifications. And it was called Mental Toughness. And she was talking about how like a lot of people were just too tough on ourselves, and it comes off in like a very non-productive way. Like we're like, you're weak. I can't believe you did that. You can't let that person outbeat you. Like you have to work harder. And it's like the mental toughness that like actually like harms ourselves because we're so hard on ourselves. But instead of being like, okay, Heather, you're smart, like you're beautiful, you have what it takes, you're capable, like I can get to the top because I know XYZ, instead of saying like, don't stop until you get to the top. You can't quit. Why are you slowing down? Like, and it was the difference of how you talk to yourself, I guess, basically, that that really stood out to me in that podcast today. So I really like that. Yes, I can send that to you. So I really related to that. But I feel like there was a lot of information in that first habit. Like the questions that she was asking herself. Then it goes to talk about imposter syndrome, and like I don't know who has not witnessed that, so like she says, the fixed mindset says life dealt you a hand and that's it. Like how many times have you like felt that way? Like this is just the hand I've been dealt. Like I'm stuck. Like here I am. Like I can't do anything about it, right? But you can change it. And then she talks about how even celebrities think like, oh my gosh, I'm a fraud, and somebody's going to find out that like, I'm not good at this. And that's what imposter syndrome is you feel like you're a fraud. You feel like somebody's going to find out that like you're not a good leader or you don't know what you're talking about. So, I liked that part too, that she mentioned that, but she said a growth mindset believes you can grow through experience and change through your action. So a growth mindset doesn't disdain effort, it thrives on it. So a growth mindset means that you're just continuing to work, like you're just doing the action and you are like growing through that. And then it says, you can learn things that you didn't understand. You can improve personality traits. You can grow in intelligence, and you can learn how to not be discouraged by failure. And when you have a growth mindset, challenges stretch you out of your comfort zone, and that excites you. So I liked that too. Like having that growth mindset is such a game changer. Let's see. And then on page 35, it says, does a growth mindset negate strengths? And it's like, you can change. Like you can change today, tonight, you can decide tomorrow, I'm going to do XYZ differently. And I'm going to be different, right? I'm going to do something differently. So it says you can change. You are capable of far more than you have previously thought. So how empowering is that? Like, what kind of affirmation could you make of that? Like, I can change and I'm far more capable of anything that I've previously experienced or succeeded on or whatever. I like that. So, and it says, you know, strengths are just a starting point. So you can always grow. It's just skills that can be developed. So I liked that too, because it's just learning. It says new skills, patterns, and habits. So I liked that. And then spiritual perspective, you know, it says it can be argued that God calls us to a growth mindset. And she goes through the scriptures on page 36 that is talking about the scripture where he talks about growth mindset. And so I like that she kind of gives like a biblical perspective, just, I don't know, validation, a different viewpoint, I guess. And sometimes I know like a lot of women, like Christian women, they look for that validation from like God to say like, okay, this is what I gave you. This is your purpose, you know? So I liked that. And then 36 and 37 was just like the different areas where you may feel like you need to grow, or maybe you feel stuck, and it's, you know, your finances, your money, your weight, your job, your relationships. And so it's like, what if you could change one of those areas? You know, like what if you could really make a difference? And so I like the question, what if you could change? Like, it's very open-ended, which I like, but like a lot of thoughts could come out of that. And I like, in the Emily Gibson coaching and the training, she's always like, ask yourself a question and then let your brain just kind of run wild. Don't be like, I don't know, or whatever. She's like, just really think about it and then write those things down as they come to you. So like, what if you could change? Like, what would you change? Like, what could you do differently? What skill would I need to, you know, learn to do that? So that's what I liked. But I just feel like there's so much in this chapter. Like building self-awareness. I think that's important. I like how she talks about, you know, walking into your vision with confidence and being empowered, you know, and not letting fear and excuses to hold you back. I mean, if you all could see my book, it's like, it's all highlighted and I've wrote stuff everywhere. Like, I don't know. I think it's so good, but I really like those coaching questions on page 42. What's my excuse? What does this excuse give me permission to do? And Emily Gibson says an excuse always gives you some kind of like, almost like a dopamine hit. Like it makes you feel good for like a small amount of time. but then you feel like regret later on. So like, what does that excuse give me permission to do or not do? And if I could no longer use this excuse, what would I have to do instead? And why don't I just do that now? And like, when you ask yourself those questions, like, again, let your brain kind of like answer them, like really sit with it and answer it. But I wrote at the bottom, it is possible, because she says, what are you hoping for? Your dream is possible with the right thoughts, the right action, the right relationships. So I thought that was perfect. The right thoughts, the right action, and the right relationship. Whatever divine dreams rest in your heart are possible. So I have that like underlined and highlighted and everything. So I liked that. So when you stop hoping, you start settling. So I know like hope is not a strategy, but like when you talk about like a biblical perspective, like hope is all over the Bible, right? It's very like faith-based, hope is. So like being hopeful, I think, is a good thing to always have, because it's like a positive thing, like a positive emotion, hope is. But it says successful women are confident enough to dream their authentic dreams, and there is no time for putting anyone else's agenda ahead of God's plan for you. Be bold and courageous about what you're hoping for, and God can close that gap by meeting you more than halfway. Believing that requires faith. So I think that's just like the hope and the faith, and like just having those together. But I have all that highlighted. So, imagining your best future self, knowing all things are possible if you just believe and have hope and be optimistic, right? So, and then the personal coaching questions at the end of each habit, I really like too. And then on page 46, the think differently thing I have highlighted, it says, be intentional about what you say to yourself when you fail as when you succeed. Choose hope, dream big, learn new skills, and believe all things are possible. Like, I think if we could give anybody tips on how to succeed in this business, it would be that right there, right? Learn new skills, dream big, and just believe it's possible. Like, show up, right? That's it. So I liked that. And then habit 2, like the hedonic treadmill, like I could go on and on about this. Because it's like, how many times do we think that next materialistic thing is going to bring us that happiness that we're looking for, only for it to wear off really quick? And then we're looking for the next thing. And then we're looking for the next thing, whether that's losing weight, a new job, a new car, a new house, a new watch or whatever. We're just looking for that next thing to bring us happiness. And it wears off so fast, because I am one of those people that looks for the next thing. And I like always say that's like always been like my motivation, which is such a like horrible excuse, like, if I work out for so and so and lose weight, then I get like new outfits, or like, like I'm always looking for that next thing. And so it's like taking your eyes off that materialistic stuff, I guess, and finding that contentment and that joy, like where you are. That's what I liked. Like, and this whole habit was just, I feel like I could underline the whole habit. But like being grateful for your many blessings while believing more is possible is a sign of spiritual maturity. I have that like highlighted and like marked with arrows, because I think so many times we think that wanting more is not like Christian like, and we shouldn't want more, because we should be grateful for what God's given us. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how many times do people say, well, just be grateful for that's what you have? I want to like kick people when they tell me that, because it's like, that one is not what I want to hear. And 2, like I'm grateful, but like I am looking for more. Like, and I know God placed more in my heart for a reason, right? So it's kind of like it kind of rubs me the wrong way when people tell me that. But anyways, but I have that underlined a million times. Being grateful for your many blessings while believing more is possible. It will require you to let go of the guilt of asking God for more. I mean, how many times we're like, oh, we probably shouldn't ask for more. We probably shouldn't do that. Right. Guess what? We should. I feel like he gives you those desires on purpose. Like maybe sometimes they are not good. You know, they may come from different viewpoints, but I think, you know, asking him for more, it's there for a reason. So there should be no guilt if your primary mission is about service. So I think like if you're here to serve, like you're like solid, because that is like one, what God wants us to do, but two, it's like that's what it's all about, right? And she talks about later on, like it's always better to give than receive anyways. So if you're always about service, your heart and your mind are pure. So you're not in it for the wrong reasons too. So and she talks about the Bible verse, you've been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. And I tell my kids this all the time. Like you have to be responsible for the things that I've already given you to get more. And so I feel like God tells us that with our money, with our business, with, you know, whatever, like you have to be faithful and be responsible with little to get more. Because I feel like if you're irresponsible with your money and you're not doing well with it, like why would he give you more? You know? So I don't know. I really liked this whole like chapter about like just women and the increased amount of work in our like just households and businesses and jobs and kids, and how, you know, like just so much, like not only has the income increased, but it says the opportunities have increased, but it's also like the amount of work that's put on a woman is like doubled because of, you know, you're working, plus you've got to take care of the house. And, you know, it says that women maintain an emotional responsibility that men do not. My friends and I'll we call it the rememberers of all things. Because when was the last time that the husbands remembered when picture day was, when the baseball practice was, when, you know, all, you know what I'm talking about. We're just the one who has to remember it all for everybody. And that is like that's mentally hard, you know? So I liked how she talks about that and like brings it like to light. But what I have highlighted is it said that women, the more frequently they experience work at home, the more guilt they feel. And that's why I think moms struggle with this opportunity so much, because we're working at home. We're not at a desk. We're not in a cubicle. We're not away from the kids. And so there's more guilt placed because we're doing it at home. And so of course men do not feel that. Like, I feel like some of this is like super common sense for part of it, but, I liked page 53 where it says it's impossible to discuss success without talking about happiness. And it's, what's your definition of success for yourself? You know, like some people want a happy family. Some people want more money. Some people think it's a job. Some people think it's the house, you know, whatever it may be. And it says the true truth is that success looks different for each of us. But to find true happiness, you need to define success by what holds real meaning in your life, relationships, making a difference, and living an authentic life. So, and I liked how she went through all the different parts, you know, living by your standards, not somebody else's, not society's, you know, living with your purpose, tapping into your passion, you know, doing what you love for work. What impact are you making? You know, it says Martin Luther King said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. Like, I really liked that. So, how is someone's life better? Because they've crossed your path. So I tell people, like, my prayer is always like, put people in my life that need me, but give me people that I need, there, because there's always, it's going to be vice versa. And there's always going to be people that come into my life for a reason, a purpose, and it's the same thing for us. So, and I'm trying to hurry because I know we have the event too. page 56, I have underlined, you have to know your why. She says, you have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And when she built her business, this cookie lady with her jewelry business, she said, for me, my why was that I wanted to be there for my kids no matter what, while earning a living and having fun. I mean, isn't that pretty much what every mother wants, is to be there for her kids and have an income to be able to say yes and have fun and have freedom, so whatever your why is, just make sure that you have it and it's clear, and that people kind of, I feel like people need to know your why, because it gives them that clarity and that vision too. And then she talks about enthusiasm and it being contagious and easy to motivate people, and energy is powerful. How many times have we even heard, Andrea and I, or whoever, say, like, it starts with you. If you're enthusiastic, if your energy is up, guess what? Your team's going to be too. They follow your lead. So, and then I have underlined on page 57, she said, dismissing fear as something that is usually just in your head. She said, I just don't think. And Emily Gibson's thing is, don't think, just do. Right. And I tell Kennedy that all the time at gymnastics, because she gets hung up on like these mental blocks at gymnastics. And it's like, don't think, just do. And so quit thinking about it, quit overthinking about it, and just, what's Allie say? Just do the damn thing. So she said her motto is to never give up. And I do what I do because I believe in it and I'm willing to do the work. So I think that's it right there. Like, believe in what you do and be willing to do the work. And then, all of her tips were great on page 58. I love that. Don't make excuses. No matter how difficult the task is, you can figure it out. Everything's figure outable. Be willing to share and mentor others. If you give, you're going to get, and giving energizes you. So I feel like when you are always giving, it comes back tenfold. And so that's always my thing. Like, I know if I do this, like, out of the goodness of my heart, like, it comes back in a good way. And then I have underlined on page 59, there's nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil, that this is the gift of God. So basically, being happy in everyday life activities, find satisfaction in your work, help others. And it is a divine gift to be happy when life is a routine. Abraham Lincoln said, most people are as happy as they make up their minds to be. So happiness is a choice. And that's what I really liked about this, like, habit, is happiness is a choice. Like, life, I was talking to Andrea yesterday, life's mundane. Like, I feel like it's Groundhog's Day. I do the same thing at the same time, like, basically every single day. And sometimes, like, that can, like, really wear on me. But then it's like, okay, find that satisfaction, like, find my joy in what I do on, like, in that mundane part of my life, so I really like that. And then let's see, ways to decide if you're happy. Can I pay my bills? Like, do I make more or less than the people that live around me? And do I spend my money making someone else happy? So it's always better to give than to receive. And she says the biggest predictor of happiness relates to money. It's not how much you make, but, like, can you pay your bills? And I think that is so true, because I know when we were struggling with money, it was very difficult on our marriage, on our family. And so when we were able to pay our bills without that stress, it's a total game changer for like I feel like your daily life. And she says like television has a really negative impact on you because you're always comparing your life to celebrities or even TV shows that make it seem like reality is so much better than what it really is. And so, yeah, that was page 62, but 63, she says that progress is a process. And I think that we forget that, we forget that we're just striving for so much perfection that we forget the process along the way. But I like her like little tips, like, are your expectations realistic? How far have you come? Like, look how far we've came personally in like the personal development part. Like, look how far your relationships have came, where are you in the process and what are you doing right? And stop focusing on what we're doing wrong and focus more on what we're doing right. I think that's a huge part of this. So let me see. I just posted page 65 as my post tonight. And it's really because like so much has came into alignment for me with this book, because I'm also reading a Bible study called Fighting with Faith, and it talks about Paul, because Philippians is all about Apostle Paul. But he says, I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. Like, for somebody to be imprisoned and find joy in his life, even locked up, I think it says a lot. So, being able to find the activities each day that bring you more happiness. And in the Bible study today, Paul says that joy is not situational, but it's relational. And so it's all about your relationships. It's all about your activity and what you are doing intentionally. That makes a difference. And then the happiness action plan starts on page 66. And I just feel like that chart is very, like, I was going through and marking things that I could work on, or I could do, or that I'm already doing, just to even identify, okay, Brianna, you're already doing these things. Look how your daily activities are already happiness boosters. So I really liked that. The chart. So I looked at that and highlighted things that I was already doing, or I could do better. And it says just to make it a priority, put the items on your list and just get it done. And so happiness is subjective. One person may think that you're happy and one person may think that you're not. So you're the judge of your life and if you're happy or not someone else. You're the judge. And it says the ingredients for happiness are in your possession right now. So it's up to you. You already have all of the things to be happy, to find joy. So make up your mind to be happy. And it says, find something for which to be grateful. That means using what you've got to enjoy life in the moment, lighten up some, laugh, notice things around you, appreciate the people that you have, and look for opportunity you have today to make a difference for someone else. So choose to be content no matter the situation. So, and then the coaching questions at the end, I absolutely loved, and I highlighted the ones that I wanted to maybe add to coaching or to ask myself as we go. But I think a good one that we need to ask our teams, what do you feel guilty about? Is there something that you're doing inside your business, or maybe if the kids are around and you're on your phone, or are you scrolling too much? Are you not setting intentional business hours? What are you guilty about? Because it says guilt indicates that we're doing something wrong. And so, when we feel like we're doing something wrong, then we like become overwhelmed and we're overthinking. And so I really liked that. And like, what lifestyle changes do you need to make? Like, do you need to work on your diet? Do you need to work on exercising more or setting in the sunlight for a certain amount of time in the day? Or, finding what truly brings you joy and doing more of that, I think really is like a key factor for happiness. And so finding, it says 3 close friends who you can confide in. And then, what's your personal definition of happiness? And I think that is like what we all need to like journal and think about. Like, what is happiness to you? What does that look like for your relationships, for your business, for your, financial situation? Like, what does that look like for you? And then just to think differently, be intentional about taking actions daily that lead to authentic happiness. What can you do today to make tomorrow better? I like this one was a good one. But I'm telling you, like, as I get into the like later habits of the book, I really, really liked. I think it was habit 6 or 7. Like, I highlighted a lot of. And habit 7 is don't be a maximizer. And I liked it because I have so many people in my life who have to just be busy all the time, and they have to have like all the things done, and like their list is huge and they're like doing all the things. And that's what she considers a maximizer. I hope Wes is feeling okay and he does okay to like in the upcoming days. Let me stop this.